Hello, everyone. My name is Christine and I'm here with Kristin today, and this is our 13th episode of Walking the Path. So before we jump into our topic today, we'll just do some brief introductions for those of you who are new to watching us. So Kristin, tell me a little bit about where you're at and what's most important to you these days.
Hi, Christine. It's so good to be here for episode 13. It's been a little while, and I'm on the road again. I'm on the East Coast of the US right now in Pennsylvania, and I'll be embarking on a 200-hour yoga teacher training starting Saturday, which is really exciting. I've been looking forward to that for a long time. And just adding tools to my my list of things that I like to offer with the world. And I'm excited to start offering some personal inspired living consultation sessions. After this yoga course is done, I'll be launching that, which is really exciting for me because I love to work with and support others who are walking their path of awakening and expanding consciousness. And so, I'm just happy that summer's here and the weather's beautiful, and I'm excited about what's in store here for all of us in the second half of 2017. How about yourself?
Great. Yeah. What would I say about me today? I would say that the theme of my sessions has been lately with clients has been about empowerment and just taking those small steps and making the little changes. I've noticed a percentage of people just really in that overwhelm or focusing on things that they can't change in their life and just going into, there's nothing I can do, and so just to invite those small changes and those reminders of, hey, what if you could go for a walk to a different place today? Or what if instead of watching television, you could read a book today? And just really inviting these small micro changes to help to improve not only feeling states, but also, the ways that they're then thinking about themselves in their life. And then as that shifts, then the way they're thinking about the world and then the actions they take in the world. So just true empowerment on a micro scale. It feels like a time to really highlight and emphasize that, because the big picture can seem so out of control or uncertain as we kind of zone in on each of our personal lives and go, hey, well, what's one action I can take today? Yeah. So have the master's in counseling and all sorts of other training on top of that in consciousness facilitation and personal development. And for me, it's all about empowerment and awareness and just assisting in creating true movement in life, and coming out of those patterns of stagnation that just seem impossible to change, and knowing that they can change. Often just having someone come in who has a fresh perspective can create the movement that actually allows for true growth to take place. So I'm looking forward to our chat today. And I really do think it is on that subject of reminding ourselves and each other that we always do have choices available, and to just really emphasize those choices that we do have, to come out of that vibration or state of powerlessness, the sense of there's nothing I can do to change this, or this is just the way the world is or the way life is. And anywhere we feel stagnant or that we can't create movement because it's out of our control, like how do we regain that sense of personal power, agency, and authority in our lives to bring more of that joy and that ease and that possibility in?
Yeah, I think this is such a great topic. And being here in the United States right now, a lot of our Canadian friends and family were a little surprised that we were choosing to come down into the US right now. And they said, we can't wait to hear what it's like down there, because if you pay attention to the mainstream media, it makes it seem like it's utter chaos down here in the United States. And, it's really not on the surface. Doesn't feel that much different than being in Canada, to be honest. And I think something that's really interesting here is that a lot of the American public is wrapped up in the drama of the new president and all the bits and pieces that are trickling down from that shift in the reality of the United States of America. And so there are a lot of people feeling absolutely and utterly helpless and powerless. From my personal perspective, it's that's just a belief. And ultimately, like you're saying, we all have so many choices we can make each day to create a better reality for ourselves. And when each of us claims back that personal willpower to make positive choices and positive changes every day of our lives, eventually that ripples out and it creates a more collective positive shift, right? I mean, it seems little for each of us to make one positive change each day, but no matter how small, if we can shift our mental space and our energetic space to be more positive, more open, and more loving, that has to affect all the people that we come into contact every day with every day. And so I love this topic because there's always something that every single person can do each day, whether it's smiling more or, calling a friend that they haven't spoken to, or eating something healthier, picking up a book that's been sitting on your table for months that you haven't touched and reading the first 5 pages. Like it could be something so small, but it could be so significant. And we can't even imagine what those small choices and those small changes will ripple out into in the bigger picture. And that's what's really exciting. And so I think to encourage each other, like you said, to choose something today. And what that is will be different for every person.
Mm-hmm. And really going in the direction of towards empowerment. What can happen sometimes when there's that vibration of powerlessness or helplessness, sometimes what can happen is, say there's this like, oh, I'm just locked in it. And then sometimes people go to anger and then try to fight against it. Like, I'm not powerless. I'm not helpless. Like, I can change my life, but they do it with this force and this intensity that is often a vibration that isn't much more fun than helplessness, right? Because it has so much fight in it, and which is so hard on the nervous system, which often leads to chronic fatigue and all those things. So what we want to do instead is just like to just make our way choice by choice, step by step into those like lighter vibrations of just, oh, I do have a choice here. I don't have to eat this. I can eat this instead. Like just the gentleness and the softness of choosing, like without the fight and without the force, right? Instead of being like, fine, I'm going to eat a salad. It's just like, I'm going to eat a salad now, right? Instead of eat these fries. Like, and it's just like one choice at a time, rather than changing the whole thing. I worked with someone recently who essentially was an alcoholic, which didn't come forward when we first started working together, but within a week it did. But then within 2 weeks after that, he's not drinking. And, which for a lot of people is like really miraculous, right? But again, it's just one choice. And what he was doing is trying to change it like forever. And how is he going to stop drinking? And he's been doing it for so long. But what we really got to was just like, well, what if just today you didn't choose that, right? Just today you chose something different. Like, it's just one day. Like, can you do just one day? And then he's like, well, yeah, I can do one day, And then that just and then it was just one day, and then it was just one day. And then all of a sudden it's 2 weeks. And there's this kind of energy signature that comes through him of just like, oh, I did that. I've been sober for 2 weeks. And it's just building that confidence and that knowing that change is possible, but it's just really allowing it to be just relevant to the moment you're in, right? Rather than thinking about like eternity, right? Like say someone's saying, oh, I want to get into better shape and just, I need to get healthier. I need to lose weight. It's just like, just today, make a different choice. And then the day you're in, that day, make a different choice. And then the next day, and then you may look back and be like, oh, I lost 10 pounds, or, oh, I'm not craving sugar anymore, or, oh, I'm not fixating on my body anymore. I'm actually just appreciating it and spending more of my time like in community rather than fixating on my body issues, right? Like, what can we choose and change? And it's just those small changes in them and from like the moment and the place that we're in. And, we can't jump ahead, and we can't just decide to change it all with this force or fight mentality. We really have to be much more gentle in that process and really saying, okay, just today I'll go for a walk. Like, how much more can we bring gentleness into the new choices rather than force or fight?
Definitely. And I think it's something you said that's really important, is that just for today, because all we ever have is just today. you know, and when we tend to think of something on a long-term scale, it can be so daunting and feel pretty much impossible. But if you wake up in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to do this one thing. Today I'm going to get up and go for a walk and enjoy the sunshine and the birds singing. I'm just going to try it just today and see what happens. And, you know, I mean, we've been doing that the last few weeks. And the first day we did it, we thought, oh, it feels so good. And the creatures we've seen and the bird songs and the conversation and the fresh air and the sunshine and the grounding with nature, it's such an incredible way to start your day. And that was a small change. We weren't doing that before we arrived where we are right now. And, you know, not all places are as conducive to going for a stroll, but where we are right now is very conducive to that. And it's been just such a beautiful, uplifting and grounding way to start every day. And yeah, so just for today, make that change. And something else that ties in with this is something I actually just shared on our Instagram and Facebook. I don't even know where this came from, but I love it. It's probably from some really common spiritual teacher type person, but it was this quote that said something like, we're all the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And I heard that probably 10 years ago or something, and it's always stuck with me because we all have a choice of who we surround ourselves with to a certain degree, and that degree of variance is different for every person. But outside of our immediate family, and there's even choices there that sometimes we like to deny that we have. But when it comes to friends and socializing and coworkers and extracurricular activities and different things like that, you know, we have a choice of who we spend our time and energy around. And I've become more and more discerning with that. And it doesn't mean that every moment of every day we're going to encounter people that are happy and cheerful and optimistic and supportive, because that's not really realistic either. But if we can take the bulk of our time and energy and minutes and hours from each day and choose to be around others who are loving, kind, gentle, and supportive of who we are and who they can see we are trying to be, or who we really are behind the hurt and pain and patterns that we might all carry, those are the people that are going to be the positive choice to be around. And you know, and we will encourage each other. It's not just a take, it's a, you know, by me witnessing you making a positive change, Christine, I will be inspired, likely whether I know it or not. And, you know, that might inspire me to make a positive change. And then, you know, anyone that's watching a video that we're recording here might go, wow, well, if they can do that little change, well, I can do a change like that, you know. And in this audiobook I was listening to, I was just telling Christine, I was listening to this audiobook called Stop Saying You're Fine by a woman named Mel Robbins, who I've never heard of in my life. Apparently she has a radio talk show that sounds really cool. And yeah, she just said, you know, like, just make a small change and the rest will fall into place. But you have to just choose to make that one little step and do something differently, because if you want your life to be different, you have to choose to do something differently. Yeah.
I love that. And it's such a great reminder, again, when we're in those moments of overwhelm, because the tendency when we're in a space of helplessness or powerlessness is we'll, without even realizing it, look out into the world and find those things we have absolutely no control over or no say in, that is just happening out there that we can't do, but yet the implications of what could happen out there towards us are big. So then we're even more powerless. So we tend to look for the things that match the state that we're in. So the key is to just tune in and ask, what's one choice that I can make right now? And then as you make that choice and look into the world for who and what can inspire you to make more choices, because there are so many people in the world who are desiring more empowerment, right? And who are creating the audiobooks, who are doing the seminars or the radio shows, or just who desire to live in a more conscious world, right? That is more based in choice and empowerment and just greater freedom, connectivity, love, and all of that. And so, yeah, it's just choosing from where we are. And there is one stage in our development where sometimes we can want to kind of just almost shut out anything we've decided is negative, right? When we feel no control over the environment, the next stage in that our development or evolution is being aware that we have choice and that we can choose who we spend our time with. So then we can infuse more positivity into our lives and choose the people around us that are really positive, right? So often that's a step out of powerlessness, is like, oh, I do have some agency here. And then at one point, we will then shift into greater inclusion, which is just like, well, I embrace that which lives within me that is, quote, negative, right? Or that I've decided is bad or fear-based or in the shadows. Like, I'm going to bring the light of consciousness to that. And then we increase our capacity to be in the world where people aren't all happy and uplifted and free, right? It's just more like, yeah, I can have compassion for that fear or that shadow or the way that person's behaving, because we have the perspective to see what led up to that behavior pattern, perpetrating itself in their lives. So we can then step out, and we don't have to control or just try to, just keep the positive around us, because we can have a little more space to stretch out and embrace more of what's here. So it's an art. It's just knowing where we are. The greatest choice could be to call a friend, go spend some time with people, or the greatest choice could be go to spend time on your own and learn to cultivate love without someone around. So I think we've talked about this in a previous episode, but it's just creating circulation, or just creating a change from what the dominant habit or pattern is. So if you're used to being on your own or doing yoga by yourself, go to a class and see what that's like. If you always go to a class, or you always call a friend, or you always ask someone for help, maybe do some self-resourcing. So it's just expanding the bandwidth, right? So we recognize all the different choices we have, so we don't get caught in any sort of pattern or routine of just like, oh, I always need people to help me, or no one can help me, I'll do it myself, because we all have our tendencies. So
totally, for sure. Yeah, and I think that is a good segue into, we're all responsible for our own choices and our own changes, but that doesn't mean we can't bring other people on board and, make some positive changes with a friend or with a family member or with a coworker. There's something funny in human psychology where we like a challenge, right? And when we can do that with other people, and somehow measure it. And, if you're the kind of person that needs to be able to measure your challenge and your change, then do that. Use something that has a tool that can give you that visual image of how far you've come, if it's something that's measurable. And one thing that comes up for me right now, and it's come up in quite a few conversations with making changes, is the level of busyness in general that at least our North American society, I can't speak for the rest of the planet because I don't know what it's like everywhere, but and we've talked about all this before with social media and all the electronic devices that most of us have in our possession, it can be a bit maddening, and it can feel like there's no time for ourselves, and there's no boundary between personal and business or personal and social, and it becomes a bit blurry and kind of like a thick energetic soup, and there's this funny like energetic pressure sometimes that comes up where you feel like you have to be at everyone's disposal all the time, or if you don't like or comment on something or post something, that you're just you're not up and current with what's happening. And so my point is, I think something for me I know that's been so beautiful and nourishing is just stepping back a little bit every day, limiting the amount of time on electronic devices, knowing that if I don't log on to anything, the world's going to be fine. It's all still going to be there when I finally do log on, and just really allowing myself to take time. And I think this is really, really important. And I think it's probably important for every human being, because it's really where we all come from, is spending time in nature without electronics. And, be so bold as to leave all your electronics at home and go out for a walk, or get in your car and drive somewhere as naturey as you can find wherever it is that you are, and just go be. And I encourage people to go do this alone, as long as you're safe being alone wherever you're going, or take a really trusted friend or close companion with you and just go and be quiet. And like, that has been so incredible for me where we are right now. Like, there's just so much nature just sitting. I actually gave Tanner a haircut a couple hours ago, and we were sitting out in the yard in the sunshine. We weren't saying anything. He was just sitting there quietly. I was cutting his hair for him, and he just said at one point, the nonstop song of the birds is so incredible. And I said, it really is. And it was like one of the only things we said the whole like half an hour that I was cutting his hair. It was so beautiful and nourishing on a level that I don't even know if human beings can understand, to just be in nature, bare feet on the earth, hearing the sound and the magical song of Mother Nature all around us. And I just really encourage that. And whatever degree that's possible for each person that's watching this, like, I really encourage you. This is the season in North America to go do this. You know, if we use the excuse, oh, it's too cold, it's too wet, it's too dreary outside. Well, that is not an excuse right now. It's so beautiful outside pretty much anywhere in North America right now. So I just want to encourage everyone to try to take some time every day or every few days to just go be in the silence of what's natural and magical that's right outside most of our back door.
Because we can truly receive support and love through that, because it's like the way that nature moves, it helps to shift our brainwave patterns. And the moment our brainwave patterns shift, the thought form shift and the feeling shift. So it can really have a huge ripple effect to just choose to receive that love and support that comes through the elements of the earth, and to allow it to be that easy. So often, we try so hard to change our state or to change our lives, again, with that fight and that force. But if we can reclaim the gentleness, which nature reminds us to do, it has, all sorts of qualities in addition to gentleness, but that's one of them, of just, that chirping or just that communication that's always taking place. And just to, what we can do is entrain our frequencies to that, and then our body relaxes, and then the thought forms change from fear-based to more love-based, the emotional body resets, and we can quite quickly change everything. And just acknowledging that choice we have to not only change our state, but then progressively change how we show up in the world and with the world. So I'm so grateful that we're having this conversation. Thank you everyone for joining us today on our 13th episode of Walking the Path. And I just wonder how many more choices we can claim each day and say, oh, I'm going to choose this, or I'm going to go here, or I'm going to eat this instead. And just the one day at a time, but really waking up out of the powerlessness and out of the anger and resistance to just include more love in our lives, more harmony, more of the earth's magic, and then progressively come into community from that space of harmony. So I wonder, how different things can be and how fast things can change for us.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really grateful that we made the choice to have this date from across the continent this morning, Christine. It leaves me feeling really inspired and happy, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we made that choice for today. So thank you.
Yes, me too. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.